an artist is such an important part of storytelling. And storytelling is a way that we understand humanity. It's how we interpret, it's how we make sense of being in this world in the first place.
There's such an absence of beauty in psychology, and to make everything clinical, it's like you take away the part of what it means to be fully human. And like he says, life, it's quite a beautiful thing. So I think, in terms of we need to talk about artists and how they're important.
There's this concept and paradigm that's romanticizing the starving artist, which I know that I've experienced.
It's not a backup plan. It's that I'm creating this container for my life in which I can flow freely and I can be my most authentic and creative self.
One of the last plays that I did, I had an experience where the character that I was playing tries to commit suicide. And I found myself after rehearsal one night going back to my dark house. It was empty, I was all alone, and sitting on my stairs and just being in a really, really dark place and kind of being frightened by that and not knowing what to do. So I had to call the producer of that show, and she talked me down, thankfully. But it was in that moment that I was like, there's a real need for exploration of these things. And I need to explore that, and I need to be the one to learn more about myself and these situations so that I can help other people.
It's very paradoxical and counterintuitive, because as an artist, we're taught to be soft and vulnerable and authentic, and that's what being an artist is all about. But then when you talk to anybody about the business side of it, which I've had I've dedicated a lot of time in studying my craft, but the business side of it feels very, very difficult for me and inauthentic. And it's what I keep hearing is, you got to have a thick skin in this business, and you just keep getting rejected. And it's what is there not a better way to approach all of that so we're not super vulnerable and exposed in our work and then completely shut off?
The industry is so tough that they have to break you down to build you up so that you'll be able to survive, rather than giving you tools to help you be the most fulfilled person, not just artist in your life.
I've just dealt with so much anxiety in my life, and it was starting to really become a limitation, for me. And it wasn't until I started being there's got to be a different meaning for this. There's got to be I didn't come here to be oh, you have anxiety, so you can't, you're gonna have to you're just gonna have to deal with that. And it's no, it's for a purpose. I've just dealt with.
Yeah. And so one might ask well, if it's that difficult, if it's giving you so many problems or causing that much grief in your life, why would you pursue that anyway? And I think that humanistic psychology really introduces some concepts that allow an understanding of why someone would pursue something even though it's difficult. And so there's a word called the daimon, and it's from Greek literature, and it refers to this inner urging within yourself that drives you forward to living out your character and your destiny in your life.
Just start looking at it differently and being maybe I'm not having all this anxiety, because it's meant to destroy me and I have to overcome it and I have to fix it. Maybe it's there for a reason. It's telling me that there is something that needs to change in my life. And so that's what I looked into to studying, was the relationship between, I didn't have words for it before, but now I describe it as the relationship between creativity and anxiety.
And if you have this diamond inside of you, this spark that is a driving force, and then you're required to participate in a society and try to rearrange yourself and your authenticity to try to fit in within the structures that are built for you, rather than being able to freely express yourself, then that is when a lot of these things rise, as far as depression or anxiety.
As an artist, you're meant to be forging your own path, but that goes against how we're wired. We're wired to know what's the next step. That's how our body knows that we're safe. So an artist is going against all of those things, which again brings me right back to this gap in the research on the mental health and physical health of someone that's consistently required to do that in their work.
And the moral courage and the right and wrong is so dualistic and such a statement about what we are experiencing in the society as we speak, and it's not really helping us in any way to propel forward or come up with solutions to our problems. So it's so important for creatives and performing artists and any kind of artist, even if you're creative in your everyday life, to be able to fully express that without having to constrain it and repress it, because it's imperative to our society moving forward and being innovative.